So I received several bills stemming from my various hospitals and doctors' visits that I had, and this is regarding a broken skull, head trauma injury. It was infected, later became infested with some kind of parasite. And I had a real hard time getting any type of treatment, diagnosis, or even somebody to acknowledge the truth of this injury. I was told repeatedly by doctors that I had no injury. I went back and got the records and the original images, and some really big anomalies show up in these pictures. Okay, so I'm going through the various bills that I received connected to this. Now I want to show some of these bill collectors. I'm located in Birmingham, Alabama, United States, and I wanted to show some of these bill collectors, who you're collecting money for and for what reason. So this bill that I have here in this video, this is from the Credit Bureau of Bessemer Collection Service Division. It's a bill for $187, dated January 28th, 2020. And this stems, I believe, from a emergency room visit that I had at St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension. This is in Birmingham, Alabama. And I believe this is from 2019. So you can see here regarding, and it says Birmingham Radiology Group, and then the amount is $187. Okay, so later on in this video you'll see where the Birmingham Radiological Group, it looks like they're not even sure what the proper name of this group is, because it's different in another bill that I got, but the amount is the same. And please stay tuned. I will explain my experience of dealing with this Birmingham Radiological Group. So Credit Bureau of Bessemer Inc. Collection Service Division. They're using United States Post Office Box 590, located in Bessemer, Alabama, USA 350210590. During the course of investigating my injury and the various radiologists and doctors that I went to, I came up with this Birmingham Radiological Group several times. And it turns out that several of the radiologists that looked at my various x-rays, CT images, and MRI scans, they are members of this Birmingham Radiological Group. And they are located at 2000A Southbridge Parkway, number 300, Birmingham, Alabama 35209. Located off the Red Mountain Expressway, just near the Birmingham Zoo and the Highway 280 and Highway 31 exit in Birmingham, Alabama. I just mentioned the radiologists that were involved in diagnosing my various scans in the course of several emergency room hospital visits, mainly at St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, and this is in Birmingham, Alabama. Julian Patrick Druhan, and I'll list their profile on this Birmingham Radiological Group website. Alright, so one thing you'll notice interesting here, and I'll point this out, after having dealt with this situation for some number of years and seen a lot of the tactics and various strategies that these professional doctors employ, one thing that I've seen again and again is their name often changes. The spelling, the presentation of their name, it changes. And why is this? And if you take a look at what happened to me, you might be able to come to some interesting conclusions. All right. So I'll show where Julian Patrick Druhan's name appears on the X-ray diagnosis, the CT diagnosis. You can see here it's different on this website. Why is this? So it's Druhan J. Patrick on the Birmingham Radiological Group website. Yeah, Julian Patrick Druhan. He looked at 2018 X-ray scan that I had done, and basically a small area of arthritis was noted. But I was told by the emergency room doctors and nurses that I had no injury. I was good to go home, and I had basically just pulled a neck muscle. So I went and I knew this was incorrect because my neck felt like it was broken. All right, and I went and got my records from St. Vincent's East Hospital as a patient. And I found in my own records there were some contradictions. In the 2018 X-ray that I had done that was looked at by Julian Patrick Druhan, there were 10 images taken, and but according to the records and on the disc that I received with all my images and the report and analysis, there are 3 images missing. And why is this? And I went back to St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, Birmingham, Alabama, on 4/22/19, where I had a CT scan without contrast. Also, this was examined by Dr. Julian Patrick Druhan, radiologist, member of the Birmingham Radiological Group, and he noted no acute finding. And I'll put up the images that I went and got from the hospital, which show my injury that was not noted repeatedly by these doctors. The 4/22 scan, computed tomography without contrast, you can see that the underside of my skull and the basilar area of my skull, this is broken. And what happened was basically a pebble-sized piece of bone broke off the underside of my skull. And the fluid inside my skull, between my brain and my skull, it leaked out. And because I was repeatedly misdiagnosed by these doctors and hospitals, I almost died in the summer 2019. It became infected and infested by what I later found out were parasite worms. And you can see the parasites in the CT and MRI pictures. I'll put them up here so you can see them. I'm recording this July 3rd, 2021, so I've had some time. I've recovered very slowly from this injury over the course of 3 years. And very slowly I'm recovering. I have not led a normal life since July 2018. And I believe I had a stroke, possibly a brainstem stroke. And I broke the underside of my skull in the area of the occipital condyle condylar canal. I'm a patient. I went to the hospital, I went to doctors. I was misdiagnosed for one reason or another, and this is a question that remains open. And I went and got my own records, and I found out my injury, and I had to do my own research to find out what happened to me on my own as a patient. I am not happy about what happened to me. I believe that I was lied to by these doctors, and I may have been a victim of patient dumping, a violation of EMTALA, EMTALA. This is United States federal law, and this law states that when you go to an emergency department in the United States of America, the emergency room doctors in the hospital, it is their obligation, according to law, to treat you based on your injury. And what I found happened to me repeatedly was that I was misdiagnosed and basically told my injury was substantially less than what I later found out that it was. And I believe that this tactic was used to circumvent complying with this law, because the injury that I had, this was a very serious injury. And I've showed here so far where 2018, looks like images were missing from my initial x-ray. In 2019, 422, the CT scan, I was told that I had again strained a muscle, and I knew this was incorrect. It felt like my neck was broken. I went and got my records from St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension. These CT images were analyzed by Dr. Julian Patrick Druhan, MD, radiologist. And in the images that I got, I'll put them up here, you can see clearly where there's broken bone on the underside of my skull. I had serious head trauma, and it was becoming infected at this point. Possibly the parasites had started to grow in this area. Oh yeah, and another thing. Okay, I got these images from the Birmingham Radiological Group website. This is July 3rd, 2021. Okay, so I contacted the Birmingham Radiological Group upon discovery of the fact that several of these doctors involved were a member of this group in Birmingham. All right, and guess what happened? Almost a year has passed by since I contacted them, emailed them, and I was never contacted by this group. But as I just mentioned, I just got these profile pictures from their website. So this Birmingham Radiological Group, I believe that they are aware of my case and my injury and situation and disposition. So they never contacted me. But I will mention this, okay? The Birmingham Radiological Group, they are aware of my YouTube channel, My Medical Nightmare. And there I have over 10 hours video documentation where I got all my records. I put them up on the internet. And yeah, they regularly visit my YouTube channel. And I'll show here where a member of the Birmingham Radiological Group is a subscriber to my channel. This is Shannon Sykes, subscribed August 5th, 2020. So she's almost been a member of my, a subscriber to my YouTube channel, My Medical Nightmare, for almost a year. All right, and you can look up her name in the Birmingham Radiological Group, and she's listed on their website as a compliance officer. Okay, so she looks at my YouTube channel. I've never been contacted by this woman. Okay, this shows the failing of modern society. Okay, I had this injury, very serious basilar skull damage and head trauma. I was misdiagnosed. The proof is in the records that can be obtained and looked at. I'll show them here so you can verify this. And please go to the Birmingham Radiological Group website. Look at all the radiologists and doctors that are members of this group. All right, and none of these doctors ever contacted me. The group never looked at my case and got together and decided that there was some massive miscarriage of due process here. If you're a member of the Birmingham Radiological Group, or if you employ these doctors, you're a hospital or some kind of contractor or something like that, you need to be aware of my situation, because I believe I was misdiagnosed and possibly patient dumped by St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension. And they employed two of these doctors. And I'll go to the next one, okay? Did Julian Patrick Druhan. The next one I went and had an MRI looked at in 2019, and this was Angus Baird, MD. And he analyzed the MRI I had done at American Health Imaging. And this was in downtown Birmingham near UAB. You can see here, I'll put up the side-by-side image, his report, Angus Baird, MD's report, along with one of the images from the MRI scan. And this shows my injury very clearly. I have a pebble-sized piece of bone that broke off from the basilar area of my skull. You can see it's surrounded by infection, and you can see the hole in the skull, which leads into my brain case of my skull. You can see my brain here also. Alright, he looked at, there are 7 vertebrae in your neck, by the way, from your skull to your shoulders. Alright. And just so happens that Angus Baird, he only decided he was going to evaluate C2 through T1. Alright. Okay, so what happened to C1? If you look in the area of C1, you look in the area of C2, you can see the outside, the influence of this injury very clearly. Alright. So why did he not evaluate this? He says disc height contour normal each level, no cerebral tonsillar herniation of spinal cord is normal. Impression, there is no disc herniation, spinal canal stenosis, foraminal stenosis, neural compression, etc. And you can read and look at this for yourself. Okay, but I've circled the injury here that was ignored. And why is this the case? Okay, so Angus Baird, he's a member of the Birmingham Radiological Group, and look at his opinion here. Okay, this is not correct. This is not what shows up in this image. And go look at the CT images from St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, Birmingham, Alabama, looked at by Julian Patrick Druhan. Alright, his analysis is incorrect. I have broken the underside of my skull. Very serious injury I went to the emergency room with, and I was misdiagnosed. Okay, so the next doctor, Donald Shane Kelly, MD. And on the Birmingham Radiological Group's website, notice he is listed as Shane Kelly. Okay, he looked at a CT scan I had done with contrast, and this was taken on 8/3/2019 at St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, Birmingham, Alabama. So in this scan, the brightness and contrast of these images, they make them hard to view. You can compare these to my CT scan without contrast from 4/22/19. You can see what I'm talking about. There are small fissures anomaly. They appear in this same area where there's a clear crack in the other imagery. And he says no acute finding. Alright, but I'll put the images from the scan here, and you can see exactly what drove me into the emergency department on this date. By this point, I had massive infection, and parasites were proliferating inside my neck. And you can see this image here. This was a 3-inch long worm that grew inside my neck. And I'll show the other headshots. Beneath the crack in my skull where the brain fluid leaked out, the infection and all this stuff, some type of parasites, and many different types, grew in this area. You can see there's a black oval of some kind, like a tumor, that grew. And then in another image, it looks like some kind of insect, possibly with wings, maybe a bot fly or something like that, had grew inside my neck. And this is absolutely awful. The pain was horrible. And I went to this hospital, these professional doctors, and they can't even see a 3-inch long parasite insect that had grown inside my neck. Alright, Birmingham Radiological Group member. So from this scan, I received this bill through the mail, and you can see here at the top, Birmingham Radiological Group PC, statement date 10/7/19. If you're a member of this group of radiologists, this kind of thing, this makes you look bad. All right, it makes this group look bad. And as I mentioned, they've been aware of what happened to me for almost a year. And look here at the website. These doctors that were involved in this stuff, they're still members of this Birmingham Radiological Group. And this is unacceptable. So yeah, if you're a hospital, you deal with this group or doctors of this group, you need to bear in mind my situation. I'm a very sharp patient. I knew that what the hospital and doctors had told me was not true. I went and got my records, and I put it out here in the public so everybody can see what happened to me. And you need to be advised when you're doing business with these people. This group, Birmingham Radiological Group, they should be ashamed of themselves for allowing these kind of practices to go on by their members. And this is basically what I had communicated to them when I sent a message. And yeah, I think everybody needs to see this. Look at these pictures. Look what the doctors wrote. Listen to my words as a patient. All right. I went to all this trouble. I made these videos. I've done 10 hours documentation. I went back to these hospitals and obtained my records. Sometimes paid large sums of money to me to get my own records. All right. And I put it all out in the public. And that's because I was misdiagnosed. This is a very serious matter, and basically I was left to die, and this is totally unacceptable.